Hello, I want to talk to you about TAKT Time application by using an example of holiday parking at a major downtown San Francisco hotel. A little history. Typically, Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, there are huge arrivals, long waits to get into the garage. Most, if not all, are weekenders, multiple guests per room. Purpose of the stay is to shop. Early arrivals because of store hours and Christmas tree lighting. Most spend the weekend. Comes after a traditionally low occupancy night. Utilizing the TAKT Time planning tool, we want to gather some data. We want to know what the arrival patterns are. There are 720 rooms checking in on Friday. Traditionally, 80% drive in. That's 576 cars. Traditionally, there are 3+ people per car. And there's more than 30% are large vehicles, SUVs and pickups. This is our data. TAKT time is the amount of available time divided by customer demand. Available time in this case is the amount of time most of the arrivals will pull into the garage. They will come in between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. That equals 8 hours or 28,800 seconds. Customer demand is the amount of cars arriving in this time period, 576. The TAKT time would be 28,800 time available divided by customer demand, 576. It's 50 seconds a car. TAKT time dictates that we have 50 seconds to deal with a car. In other words, we have to move a car out of the garage every 50 seconds to eliminate any backlogs of cars, meaning lines in the street. Hence, no operation in our process can take over 50 seconds. If it does, we need multiple operations. This does not mean that we only have 50 seconds to do a whole car. What this means is if it takes us 2 minutes to do a car, meaning unload, ticket, move the car, we have to break that down into 2 operations so that we can deal with that car, so that every 50 seconds a car is moving out of the garage. A bottleneck in our process is the large vehicles. They need to be unloaded and turned around in the garage, then parked off-site as they are too large for the garage. This takes an inordinate amount of time. A second bottleneck is the doorman who writes the valet ticket and then unloads the luggage from the car onto a belt cart. This operation typically takes 2 to 3 minutes. Remember our TAKT time, 2 to 3 minutes means we have to have somebody helping him. So the process setup is, in order to accommodate our TAKT time, we're going to need multiple doormen, multiple luggage handlers, and valets. The valets are the people that take the car and park it. We will also need to separate the large vehicles from the smaller ones before they get into the garage. So here's our process. This is our process map. We have the hotel, we have the garage. We can fit 4 cars in the garage area. And we can put 3 SUVs on the street where we put a second valet stand. And then we have a vehicle sorter that is noted by the yellow circle. So we set up our process to have a minimum of 4 doormen, 3 in a garage, and 1 handling the SUVs on the street. The luggage handlers would be moving the bell carts to a predetermined location for storage and final delivery to the guest room. That means for every car, we would have a doorman, we'd have a valet, and we would have a luggage handler or 2. As the cars would arrive, the car sorter, who's standing in the street, would direct them into either the garage or to the SUV station, which is on the street. So the car sorter would stop the car in the street before it got in the garage or any further to say, welcome to the hotel. Do you have a reservation? If you do, wonderful. Please pull into the garage if it's a car. The sorter would stop the SUVs and say exactly the same thing, except they would say then, please pull ahead to the gentleman at the next valet stand and they will take care of you. So the cars would get unloaded at either station, valet tickets would be written, SUVs would immediately go to off-site parking. Once the luggage is out, they go to off-site parking. They never enter the garage. The luggage would be moved by a luggage handler to a predetermined spot. When the luggage gets moved to a storage area within the garage, and when the guest gets roomed, they call down for the luggage, the name is given, that luggage is then taken up to their room by other luggage handlers. The car would be moved either to an off-site garage or parked in-house. The guest would proceed to the front desk to check in. The process would repeat itself until all the cars were accommodated. What happened was intriguing. There were no cars waiting longer than 2 minutes at any time during the day. I know this because I was the sorter for most of the day. 528 cars were parked, 672 arrivals in total. 233 cars were parked off-site because remember the hotel only had room for 290 cars. 36 people worked during this day. The most compelling measurement is 0 complaints regarding waiting to get into the garage. Nobody yelled at anybody. The measurements on the following page are for the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is typically the busiest day of the holiday season. Saturday and all other holiday weekends will follow this pattern of arrivals and parking. All other days of the holiday weekends will fit similar process and financial results. So we've tracked the measurements on this particular weekend, and then we looked at the month overall. And it was amazing. So, first holiday weekend. In the past, we parked 280 cars, sent everybody else away. We didn't care whether they had a reservation or not. The current, we parked 528 cars, and we unloaded them all. We parked half of them off-site. We parked 290 in the garage for the hotel, and we made everybody happy. Past year was $10,920 was the revenue for parking. This year was $20,592. The off-site parking cost was $6,524, and everybody worked. Last year, we gave $4,500 in rebates from to irate guests. This year, nobody was irate. We didn't give any rebates. So net profit means that last year we made $3,732. This year we made $10,972 just on this one weekend. And the guest complaints last year, multitudes of guest complaints. This year, 0. Priceless for that. So our results for the entire December, you can see that the garage revenue went up $100,000. The total garage labor went up $29,000. The guest complaints remained at 0 because everybody's car was being parked. But we made $70,000 in profit for the month of December. So what we learned, utilizing TAKT Time to set the system up allow for smooth operations. You have to be able to break the operations down so that each operation is below the TAKT Time. Smooth operations meant no guest complaints about parking, increased revenue for more cars handled. The next day, Saturday, the process repeated itself with a net revenue of $9,900. The process worked every holiday weekend. The process worked every weekend with a large, frequent independent traveler arrival, holiday or not. We used this very same process when there was a 700-room arrival. Most importantly, we broke the holiday tradition, the ham theory, of 2 to 3 hour waits to get into the garage. Guests actually noticed and commented that they were going to come back since we solved the parking issue. I cannot tell you how many times I heard we must not be at full capacity because there's no line for parking. And yet we were at 100% capacity. SUVs made up approximately 45% of all arrivals, almost an even split. In the future, this will require more people as one vehicle takes more time to unload because of its size, capacity, and number of occupants. They are just simply bigger. The main improvement that this process makes over past years is that with TAKT Time, you can understand your process and set it up for performance. Because this is a union hotel, the garage manager and myself went to talk to the union, broached the process, explained everything to them. We asked for their support and approval. They didn't blink an eye. They said, we're in this 100%. What do you need from us? They could see that their people were going to make more money. That is important. Past years, we would park cars until the garage was full, 280, 290 cars, then turn all the other cars away, much to the guests' anger and a loss of revenue. I can tell you, I stood out on the street that year, and I would say to the guests, do you have a reservation? It was raining, by the way. I said, do you have a reservation? Yes, we do. Okay, well, would you just drop off your wife and 2 children right over there and take the luggage out of the car and put them on a curb in the rain? And then about 4 blocks down, there's a parking lot. You can take your car down there and pull it in there and pay for parking. How would you feel? What would you say? I can tell you, I was bribed, I was threatened, I was cussed at, I was yelled at, everything you can imagine that happened to me standing in that spot. The ultimate was a gentleman, I said this to one gentleman, he was very nice. He said, well, thank you very much, rolled his window up, got out of his car. Now, mind you, this car's in the street. Got out of the car And he started walking. I said, wait, your car. He threw his keys at me and said, you take care of it, and walked away. Literally walked away. People were not happy. With no upset guests, there were 0 rebates. By parking all guest cars, we set up the guests with an extraordinary experience from the first moment of arrival. This resulted in a higher guest satisfaction index scores, as was proved by the 60-second critic. Overall, guest satisfaction increased. Guest loyalty was created on that moment in that garage. Associate satisfaction was higher as a result of no upset guests yelling at the associates. Associate satisfaction also was a direct result of more hours worked and thus more revenue for them in terms of tips. As a testimonial, no one wants to revert back to the old process. After this happened, after the holiday weekend was all done, everybody was happy. Literally everybody was happy. And the garage manager and I were invited to talk to the union president, and he congratulated us on it and said they would never support any other parking process except what we set up.